Growing up, Jesus didn't reign in my life. I wasn't always his wife. I didn't understand that I had a purpose. It took me even longer to believe that I was worth it. In the beginning, my mom forced me to come to church. It was the last thing I ever wanted to search. But one thing I can admit is that going to church is the only thing I was forced to do that I don't ever regret. Giving my life to him is the best decision because he can never reject a heart that repents. Yes. Now let me tell you the story of my life. Growing up as a child, even as a teen, I always had a smile to brighten the scene. Because behind the scene, I wasn't living a dream. Instead, I lived depressed, lost without direction. I thought I wasn't blessed. Asking God if he placed me in this earth just to feel unworth. I always felt rejected because I could never fit what was expected. I never knew that in my weakness, he was made strong. That through my life, one day he would be made known. I always compared my life to others because my sin wasn't as bad as the others. Little did I know that my good works wouldn't take me to heaven. Because sin was sin in God's eyes, and he wasn't going to let his judgment pass me by. My fear of rejection had me in a hold, so I had all my feelings withhold. I never opened up, because if people knew what I dealt with, they would think that I was broken. What I felt inside, I left unspoken. Rarely did I give the chance for someone to fix the broken pieces, because after a while, it seemed as if they had broken them into even smaller pieces. Though in the outside, it seemed as if the wounds were healed, I thought the damage in my heart was a done deal. I made myself independent. I was my own defendant. I didn't understand that God created me in his image. I was his creation. He was my creator. He knew how to put the broken pieces back in place. To him, it was no maze. Yet I set my beauty according to the values of others. Instead of listening to his assurance, I listened to the endurance. I made myself a slave to their standards. Rejecting the thought that God saw me as his precious jewel, all I wanted to do was to look cool. This led to my low self-esteem, because I no longer saw my value, my worth, my purpose. But even through all this, the greatest thing I know is that Jesus died for me so that I could get out this hole. The pit of my depression, low self-esteem, fear of rejection. He lifted me up with arms wide open. I couldn't understand how such a perfect God could die for such an imperfect person. But I happily accepted the gift that he presented. But even knowing how great his gift was, I had fallen complacent. I wasn't in a hurry to get out of where I was. I was comfortable even with all the flaws I had. I couldn't see that God had so much more for me in store. There was no reason why I should get bored. Every day he teaches me something new. He corrects me in a new way. He loves me even more than yesterday. I can never say that Jesus isn't enough, and what I'm saying is not a bluff. I can't wait till the day I get to see my Savior, when he says I have been saved because of his grace and not my behavior. But I know that until that day, I have a long way. I have a race before me, and I will run it to the end. Even if I have more struggles to face, even if more temptation comes my way, I know that I can go through it because he gave me the strength to endure it. A word of encouragement for all those who don't understand their value. God created you with a purpose, even before the beginning of the earth, so that you can know that you're worth it. The road you take is not easy, but one thing I tell you is that if you set your mind to it, one day you'll be able to go through it. There will be a lot of tears that need to be shed, a lot of forgiveness that needs to be said. Nothing you do for God will be in vain. I'm just here to bring him fame.